Hi, Democrats. Today is Tuesday, May 23rd, and it's time for the Chair's Daily Live. Happy Tuesday. So, a couple things I want to talk about. I don't know if you saw the teaser. I'm going to have a great show with some exciting guests, but I want to make sure before we jump into that to make sure you know what's happening kind of on the national stage. Kevin Hern, the congressman from CD1, which is the Tulsa area where I live, is on record saying that he wants the United States to default on the debt ceiling because he thinks it'll teach us some kind of lesson. He doesn't care about our credit rating. This is the same man who took out a PPP loan, even though he's a millionaire, whatever. But every day I want to tell you one more reason why it's great to be a Democrat, because I get to distance myself from that nonsense. But I want to highlight it so you know why it is important to not just be registered to vote, but register everybody that you know and make sure that everybody shows up every time there's a time to vote. And so to hammer that point home, there's a lot of talk right now about candidate recruitment. There's a lot of talk right now about how, the Democrats aren't running enough candidates. So I thought, let's talk to some folks who ran in 2022, folks who put their names on the line, took time away from their family and their lives, who went out there spreading the message of Democrats. Let's have a talk with them about what it takes, what's the hard part, what they need from us as voters and as people who are involved in the party, what they learned. And hopefully at the end of this, you will either resolve to run for office or you'll resolve the next time someone puts their name on a ballot for you to vote for, that you will take it serious. You will listen to them, and you will support them with your time, talent, or treasure. So join me in welcoming our candidate from Congressional District 1, Adam Martin, our candidate from Congressional District 4, Mary Brannon, and a candidate for Congressional District 5, Joshua Harris Till. Hi, folks.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I'm so glad that you could join me on such short notice. You doing all right, Mary? Mary, you're still muted.
I'm doing great. I'm so glad you're having this forum.
Awesome. Thanks. And how about you, Mr. Till?
Oh, I serve at the pleasure of the chair. Always happy to be on the show with you.
So I'm in the middle of recruiting for 2024, making sure that we have candidates lined up all over the state and as many places as makes sense, right? As many places as it makes sense, because practical, serious people who look at the data know that that's the best answer. It's many places as makes sense. You all ran congressional races, right? So you ran big, serious races. Thank you. But here's a question I have for you. The party is in the middle of reorganization. We're in the middle of electing our leaders and deciding our path for the next 2 years. What can you, as a candidate, as a former candidate, as a future candidate, what do you need from folks who are involved in the Oklahoma Democratic Party as a candidate? What do you need from us? Just jump on in.
Well, first and foremost, we need you as a person. Like you said, whether it's your time, whether it's your treasure, whether it's your connections, whether it's your skill set, whatever it is that you do well that can be utilized by a campaign, and that's literally anything. We did karaoke events. We did park events where you could bring your dogs. We did cook-off events where you could bring food. Whatever it is that you can do that to promote and give interest to the campaign and help candidates gain name ID and finances, because those are extremely important. Also, bringing other folks in, even if you could just take time to post on social media about it. If you can get our pages from 1,000 likes to 1,500 likes, we have that much more outreach to try to let people know that they have a real candidate on the ballot. I'll give it to the other candidates.
Mary?
This will be my fourth time to run, and I see that the Democrats are working hard. What we are fighting is direct party voting. Some people don't even know what the issues are, but they've always voted Republican, and by golly, they're going to color in Republican. And sadly, we have every 2 Republican that votes, just 1 Democrat does. So what I want to do is, if I think we need to recruit more Democrats so that, because we're never going to get the Republicans to agree to do away with direct party voting. But if we had more Democrats who were doing direct party voting, that would help. But to me, it's just to save Oklahoma. I got into this because it seems like all of our congressional people are wanting to make everything private. They privatized Tinker Air Force Base maintenance, and now they're painting over mold, and they can't get any maintenance done. In fact, they were sued, and it's, remember this, whenever it's Balfour Beatty, Balfour Beatty. Look them up on the computer. You will be amazed at how inept they are. So they've done that to the, and once you take away the elected official and it goes private, you can't go to that elected official and say, you either help us or we will campaign for your opponent. And that is so powerful, but we've given that away. The reason I really got into this is because they're trying to do that with veteran care. I had a brother, 100% disabled from 2 tours in Vietnam, and people, their loved ones need that local hospital for veterans, and they want to take it away and make it private. And I'm thinking, if they're painting over mold and making little kids sick, what would they do at a hospital?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Adam, this is your first time running.
Mhm.
You stepped out there big. This is your first time running. What help could the party have offered you to get you further down the line?
Yeah, so I think definitely going off what Joshua said and what Mary said is very key. But one, from my perspective, I think is definitely funding. Funding would have definitely helped a lot in knowing who to call and knowing who to more or less is willing to give their funds to us. Because a lot of people, we can't meet everybody, as you all know, and we don't know who knows who. We don't know all the connections. We get into this business and then we start learning that, I feel like I'm farther ahead now of knowing people in just general that I know I can ask for money than I did when I was running. Right. And so, but at the end of the day, for me, I thank God that I was able to do it. It was it was a challenge, I think, more than anything. And I think we'll get into those questions too. But, more or less to answer the question is funding would have helped me. And also knowing, just more consultants that can help with the races. And Oklahoma, we don't have a whole lot of those consultants, but, maybe we can start talking about that enough to get some good people out there to start working with these campaigns and, come on board and help us out, all of us out, and give us options. You know what I'm saying? And, that's no to throw anyone under the bus. It's just, give us some options of people that actually want to do the work and actually mean what they say and want to see some wins in Oklahoma.
So in my recruitment of candidates, and Adam, you certainly heard this, and Joshua, you certainly heard this, that when I talk to a first-time candidate or somebody who's running for a different kind of race, I always suggest get a professional. Do not run a kitchen table campaign, because here's the reality of it. Donors don't want to fund campaigns that aren't being run by professionals. That's just flat out the truth. And so what we have to do, and what the party is working towards, is training more folks to be professionals. On June 3rd, at the first day of convention, we're actually having training on candidate recruitment and how to make a campaign plan. So we are positioning ourselves right now to start training folks to help candidates with campaigns, because that is a place where we need help in this state. And fundraising is a big one. A lot of Democrats like to wait and see. When you raise $50,000, come back to me, and then I'll give you some more money. But how do you get to that 50,000 if everybody tells you go get 50,000? Is that what you faced, Joshua? Is that what because that's what Adam sounds like he faced. Joshua, Mary, is that what you guys faced?
Absolutely. So I think what a lot of people, there are stakeholders within the party, this, we all know this, who, if they support your campaign, then there are people who will automatically donate just because they support your campaign. The reality is, sometimes you won't be on their list. You won't be one of the priorities. You won't be one of their focus. They'll be focused on other races. They'll be focused on bigger races or races that they deem to be more winnable. And so, what we need, honestly, when we're talking to folks at the grassroots level, we need you all to show up. Like, yes, $50,000 is one of those benchmarks that we need to hit, but it doesn't have to be, five people giving $10,000 a piece. It can be 500 people giving $100. And now we're talking about not only the money and the investment looking good, we're talking about having a coalition of supporters. If you can donate, you can knock a door. If you can donate, you can make a phone call. If you can't donate, you can still knock a door or make a phone call. And that's what's really important. Yeah, you want to know that there's these folks and these out of state dollars and all of this stuff that people talk about where we see TV and we see, AOC and we see Stacey Abrams and they're getting hundreds of millions of dollars. That's
They
not the
raised $2
reality for
million
Oklahoma.
in 24 hours.
Right.
One
that
thing
is
I
not
think
the
we're hitting.
reality for Oklahoma.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
One thing I think we're hitting on too, though, is because I ran into this on my campaign, and I know I'm sure some other people can relate, but you can't do this alone. I think that's the very key that I took out of it from my personal standpoint, because you get so frustrated with the business side of it that you, like, if you're like me, you try to, okay, well, let me take control of it. But when you're in this type of business of politics and trying to run for a federal level seat like this, or governor, whatever it is, such a big title like that, you cannot do it alone. I cannot stress that enough. Me being, hate to say younger, but I'm still young, but at that time, not understanding that, something I look back on and wish I could have understood better. But you cannot do it alone. It doesn't matter. Sorry, I'm at the office. Doesn't matter who you think you are or whatever. You cannot do it alone. You're going to need help. You're going to need all hands on deck and people to share their expertise with you and build a team. Because building that team is going to get you further along. I didn't really understand that. I heard it, but it was just building it was the problem because I didn't have those very connections that I have now. And so looking back, if anybody I've actually had people talking about running, and I told them, I'll tell you this, first thing, you cannot do it alone. You can't. You need a team. You need someone that can work with you and do all the things, because you're going to be up the creek without a paddle, right? And I'm sure you guys have heard that lingo before, but it's true. And I learned that the hard way, but I think it still turned out better than what I expected. And I'm just honored that I could do it. And now I know that I can take this on to the next thing and whatever we do, right?
So that leads me to my next question. Thank you for that perfect segue, Adam. What was the hardest lesson to learn in this last campaign? What was the hardest lesson? Because, and I will appreciate all honest answers, because we're recruiting and folks need to know what they're getting into, but don't scare them. But folks need to know what they're getting into so they can learn that lesson without it taking months, without several people having to tell them. What's the hardest lesson that you learned in running? And I'm going to go one by one, since Adam set me up, and go Adam, Mary, Josh. What's the hardest lesson?
Man, the hardest, there's a couple things, but I'll say this, making sure you understand the FEC, and when your funds are coming in, understanding like how to set that all up, and, you may have to send money back. I actually didn't run into that. I've heard other candidates talk about it where they had to send a lot of people money back because of this or that. I didn't actually have those problems, but just setting it up the correct way and making sure that you're doing things the right way legally, because running for office, like I said, it was a learning experience. It's not just you're running for the issues. I just want that to be honest, it's not just issues. It's a business. You're getting out, meeting people, you're selling yourself. It's a business. People have to buy into what you're selling. And so the hardest part was really the business part of it, because, I was getting into the business thing. I was getting into it thinking, we'll just talk about the issues and this is what I've been through and this is how I can relate. No. Because there's some people they're caring about their putting food on the table. Then there's some of those folks that are caring about saving money, right? And that would follow the conservative spectrum, right? And so you got to really be able to communicate with different groups and work with different groups, and really how you do that, it boils down to just a business mindset at the end of the day. It truly does.
Mary, what's the hardest lesson you've learned in your races?
Well, first of all, since this will be my fourth time, you've got to redefine winning in this reddest of red states.
Yeah.
To me, winning is doing better than I did the time before. And each time I've done better because I always compete against Cole, who's probably been there the longest. And he has millions, but he has sold his soul because he has big pharma money. He has NRA money. He has predatory loaners money. And I don't think people understand what he votes against, which is in their best interest. So if I had more money, I could get on TV and say, he's there cutting that ribbon and he voted against that bill to get money for that construction. But until people understand, he says, well, vote for a true conservative. Well, a true conservative would make sure that people in the far reaches of rural area would have internet. He voted against that. So I wish that this is what my great ballot would be. No names, no, just this is what this person voted for, and this is what this person wants. So just vote for the issues, but that will never happen in Oklahoma. And when you consider,
let's not say never. Let's not say never.
Well, that's why I keep running. I just think Joy Hoffmeister raised over $2 million, and she did a great campaign, and she didn't win. She should have. Same thing with Jenna Nelson. I'm a retired teacher. It breaks my heart that we have made really education privatized because they want to give all this public money, my public taxes, to private school and vouchers. That's not why I pay taxes. When I was in school, in a rural school, I was buying my own chalk. I was buying my own classroom supplies. What do you mean You're going to give my public money away?
All right, Mary. The biggest lesson that you've learned, Joshua?
I will keep it to, you said don't scare anybody, so I won't.
Facts be facts.
What I'll say, the hardest lesson is that no matter how hard you work, people will never know how hard it is that you're working. And so it is not enough to just give 150%. It's not enough to stay up all night. It's not enough to put your own money in. It's not enough to call all of your friends and family and have them show up for you. You have to do more. You have to have a team. When Adam says you can't do it alone, that's exactly what that means. You have to have your campaign team. You have to have your personal relationships, your friends who are going to help you navigate this. You have to have the Democratic Party, even though a lot of candidates don't believe you have to have the party. You have to have the party because that is the apparatus that's helping you navigate these different spaces. You have to have the elected officials and relationships with them, but also understand none of these people individually can win this campaign for you. None of them can save you. Nobody has a magic wand that's going to make sure that you're successful, even if you're the best candidate. Even if you truly, in your heart of hearts, know that what you're trying to do is right and you feel that and you want to give that to people, that's not enough. It takes a combined effort of all of those different things and a little bit of luck in this state as well in order for you to be successful.
So I'm in the thick of candidate recruiting. I'm in the thick of it, right? I got my list, got my spreadsheet. I'm calling, I'm showing up at things and trying to talk people in the running. What advice do you have for me as a candidate recruiter? What should I be saying to candidates to make sure that they understand what they're getting into, but to remind them that we are on the right side of the issues in our state?
Social media isn't votes. I don't care how many followers you have. I don't care how hard you tweet every single day, how many retweets you get. That does not account to votes because a lot of those people don't even live in your district. Also, the other thing, do the work in your community. Don't show up and nobody knows who you are and expect everybody to just jump all over themselves to do work for you. If you haven't been putting in the work, you don't have those relationships. And the last thing I'll say is every progressive organization isn't progressive, and so you can't expect all of these organizations that you've worked with to run to your aid just because you're running against somebody bad. A lot of these organizations that are really good and really doing the work, they have to work with Republicans. Some of them choose just to work with Republicans, but some of them have to work with Republicans. So they're not going to be all in trying to give you all the money and all the support. But what we can do is make sure that the Democratic Party, which is strengthening itself every year, regardless of what anybody says, those people who show up to those meetings, those people who are yellow dog Democrats in some of the reddest areas, those people will give the shirt off of their back in order to support you for that campaign. And there is no experience in this life like running for office. You will never have the ability to connect with people like this. You'll never have the ability to give back like this. You'll never have the ability to represent your community and their values and the things that they love and fight for the people that you really care about like you will while running for office. Being elected is an entirely different thing. All of the impact you get to make while running for office is truly one of the most special things that you can experience. And I would implore you that if you have any inclination of doing it, that you should call us. I volunteer myself as well as these other two because I know them both and I know that they care about it enough, as well as you, Madam Chair, but you're the person talking to them. Call us. We'll tell you the God's honest truth about it, but we're not going to tell you not to run. If that's where your heart is, we're going to tell you how to navigate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now, Mary, you helped me recruit a candidate in this last cycle. So I want to say thank you for that. But going in, what advice do you give me for candidate recruitment? Having been a candidate in an underdog race, in a
Three
you know,
different times.
yeah. So what advice would you, because that's where we are now, where we have to expand into territories where we don't have a majority. What am I saying to those candidates?
I would be honest with them. Say, this is the reddest of red states. Cole, this is his 11th time. It's a 2-year commitment. 2 of those times he ran unopposed. So all that money he collected, he gave to somebody else. Don't let these people run unopposed. We have to get their voting record out there. That's why I say, go into it with your eyes open and say, this is what I'm going to do. If I can change one vote, that's winning. If I can get one veteran to say, you're not going to close down my veterans hospital, but I would be honest with them, say it's going to be tough, but you don't want to be one of these ones sitting on the couch when somebody's elected because nobody ran against them and say, I could have at least ran against them. That would be my suggestion. Just be honest and say, we've got to get out there and have candidates for no other reason. If they run unopposed, they win automatically, and we don't want that.
Thank you, Mary. That's great, and that's how I'm going to wrap up the show. But Adam, what would you have me say when recruiting candidates?
So this one may be a little bit more deep, but my thing is, why are you doing it, and what does it mean to you? Whether you're running for the state house, whether you're running for a federal level in Washington, have you seen a bill? Have you looked at one of those bills? Do you understand kind of what it takes to write a bill? Do you understand how government works? Do you understand that if you're going to run for the state house in Oklahoma, that you're going to be the minority and not in the majority, right? And so do you have the skills to want to, make amends with the other side to get some of your bills passed? I mean, there's a lot of questions that I think I would ask on that level of why do you want to do it? Because it's, like I said, it is, you don't have to be business minded, but it is a business at the same time because there's a lot of writing. There's a lot of things that you need to get done. From being at the Capitol the last couple of months and being up there and just showing up and just listening to people and talking to people up there, a lot of them don't like how some people write their bills because some of them don't have good writing skills. Those are things that it's all public, so once you write that bill or someone helps you, whatever, it's public knowledge. And so the language inside the bill, more or less, that's what I'm trying to say. So those are some of the real questions. This is not just you running to say, be on TV all the time, because more or less you're not going to be on TV all the time. So you're going to have to really do that work where people really understand what you're all about. What do you stand for, and how do you really see yourself making a change in a district where they've lost all hope? right? And so, more or less, I would ask those really difficult questions, like, letting them know, not even asking the question, just letting them know, like, hey, this is not just, raising minimum wage. This is not just about making sure that healthcare is accessible to all. I mean, there's a lot more to it, and those things are very much important to me and to all of us on this call right now. But it's bigger than that. It's so much bigger than that. And so, I would ask those really difficult questions of the everyday aspect of the job if they were to win.
Awesome. Okay, I love all of that, and I'll add those. Oh, yes, Joshua.
Just really quickly, very, very fast. One, win the election at home before you run for office. Don't surprise your family with running for office, because if this is such a heavy weight to carry being a candidate, because people will share with you the things that they're really struggling with. So make sure your home is a place of support and a place of peace. And then the last thing is, these are people, not products.
Wow.
Every single person is different. Don't think that just because you have a good idea, like Adam said, this isn't just about minimum wage. This isn't just about healthcare. This just isn't just about the military or the economy. It's everything. And to every single one of these people, this is their lives that you're talking about.
Yes.
And so understand that these are people, not products, and all of them are different, and they all have needs, and all of those needs are important. Even if it's not something that we prioritize, it's important to them. It's a difference maker to them, and how they live their lives. So I just want to throw that in there. I'm done.
No, that's perfect.
I would also like to say, Alicia Andrews, you're doing a fantastic job. It has to be hard being the chairman of the Democratic Party in the reddest of red states. So you need to keep getting reelected, and I will do everything I can to keep you get reelected, because you are elected within your own group on a national level. So that just shows, and that's from a school teacher. So A+.
Thank you for that, Mary. I appreciate that. But what you guys have said wraps up like my big point. There is, in Oklahoma, we have to define winning in multiple ways, right? It's not just getting across the finish line and actually winning the office. That's a big win. But if you register more Democrats, you give more Democrats a choice and an option. And when they show up at the ballot, there's a Democrat on the ballot for them to vote for. You've won. If you've gone out there and in all of your events and you're shaking hands and you listen to someone's issue and they feel heard and they feel engaged, you've won. If your campaign inspires someone else to run, if someone sees Joshua's a regular guy, Adam's a regular guy, Mary's a school teacher, a retired school teacher, if they can run, I can run. If they're willing to put their time, energy, effort, their home life on the line, because it does take a toll on your personal life, your home life, your mental health. It does take a toll on that. But your campaign, if you inspire someone to run, you've won. And so we need to define, right? We need to broaden the definition of winning. Because if Mary running multiple times in CD4 against, an entrenched incumbent who's now in leadership, if she's making him have to pay attention, have to spend a little bit of his money in his race, we've won. And so for that, I'm grateful to all three of you for running. And I will say, there's the conversation about the big race of the last session that raised all of this money and didn't make it across the finish line. We're stuck with who we're stuck with. I don't even want to give him his name energy on my show. Here's the thing. She sussed out Democrats all over the state. Democrats felt like, let's listen. We have a shot. Democrats got energized, which also made more votes for you guys. It made us feel like we had a shot. And that's what it takes. We have to continue to run. And we have to run in places where people don't think that we can win. Because what happened in Joy Hoffmeister's race, all the polls were looking like she had a real shot. The Republican National Committee had to spend money in Oklahoma. They don't spend money in Oklahoma. They have written us off. They think that we're a done deal. They think that they have us for sure. They don't spend money here. They spent money in Oklahoma, which meant they took money out of Arizona to spend here. They took money out of Nevada to spend here. And I know this because I've talked to Republicans. And what happened in Arizona and Nevada? They elected Democrats. And so although we are stuck with the governor that we're stuck with, we were able to be a part of the big machine. And we were able to help Arizona, help Mark Kelly stay in Arizona, help elect a Democrat in Nevada. And so we have to broaden our definition of winning. And Democrats have to take hold and understand that we are winning, we are making a difference, and we are on the right side of the issues. So for that, I want to say thank you to the three of you for running. Thank you for sticking around and staying involved in the party and making it better. Thank you for registering more Democrats just by means of your campaign. Thank you so much. And for the rest of you who are watching, thank you for joining us. And I'll be back here tomorrow at 4:15. Have a good evening.